Hi there. Sorry I wasn't with you last week. We were away with some friends in Leicestershire for a couple of days, and then we went on to Canterbury and Whitstable. Our friends in Leicestershire live in a large house with 20 acres of grounds, and they use it as a retreat centre. It is so gorgeous and peaceful there, and we've taken people there from our church, and it's such a great place to meet with God. They've recently started a new project to convert their stables into more accommodation and a conference centre, so there can be more room for people to stay. Our friend Neil has been helping with the building work, and he'd pulled a muscle badly in his neck and was in such a lot of pain. So Kevin and our friend Tony helped out with the grass cutting, which was a mammoth task. But I think they really just enjoyed messing about, sitting on the mower really, and running up and down the meadows. During the lockdown, they had also planted a lot of vegetables in their walled garden, and they've got pigs too, so we had lots of gorgeous food fresh from the estate. We love to stay with these friends because we can pray together and try to hear what God is saying in our situation. But also because we also feel so refreshed when we leave. It's always a blessed time. And Jesus says, "For where 2 or more, 3 are gathered in my name, there I am with them." And it certainly feels that way when we meet, because we are intentional to hear what he is saying to each one of us. Afterwards, we travelled to Canterbury and stayed in the Cathedral Lodge in the grounds of the cathedral. You know, there's something majestic about waking up in the shadow of this huge cathedral, knowing that for hundreds of years, many Christians have been worshipping there. And of course, it's the home of the Archbishop, the head of the Church of England. And it's also the area where Kevin first started considering his calling to the church as a leader. So we thought it would be good to get back to our roots and to hear what God is saying to us at this time. And also, we were so glad to be near the sea at Whitstable on Friday when it was 36 degrees. Gosh, there were a lot of people on that beach. It was so hot. So getting back to Kevin's mum's house, we're now on the home stretch, which is terrific. So this Monday, we decided that to have one last push at finishing all the painting. So we spent 2 days of 10-hour shifts painting and finishing off all the various areas, ready for Friday when the flooring and the kitchen turn up. Kevin is very chuffed that he's fitted 2 new windowsills in the kitchen and fitted a carpet upstairs. And in fact, he says he really enjoys fitting carpets. Maybe he could do it as a second job. Anyway, we ripped up the old carpet in the dining room and found at least 100 little nails sticking up everywhere. So we had to knock them back into the wood so that the vinyl, when it's laid, won't rip. And we also had to clean the floor, which had probably got about 60 years of grime and glue stuck on it. I hadn't realised that there are so many things to complete still before we finish. But I've enjoyed the experience and I'd love to do it again, as long as I don't break my foot this time. It's a shame I can't show you a video of all that we've achieved between us, as I feel we've worked hard and the result is really good. In fact, I'll maybe see if I can attach a video to the talk next week. I'll speak to my technical advisor. Anyway, while I was sitting in the garden having a cuppa and resting my foot, I thought about all the provision that God had provided. You know, like the timing of Kevin's mum going into a home just as we'd all gone into lockdown. And the fact that the decision was taken out of Kevin's hands because he was dreading having to do it, and his mum's reaction. The fact that people were available to come and take all the furniture to sell in the charity shop because they had a spare van doing nothing and the house was empty, so they wouldn't have to meet with anyone. That we had time to just drive to the house and sort it out because we were in lockdown. And there were so few cars on the road, what usually took us 50 minutes only took us 30 minutes. And then I got in touch with an old friend who has a building company in Kent, and he had men spare because of lockdown. And so they came and did all the hard physical work of knocking down walls and bricking up 2 doors, taking out the gas fire and fireplace. And they took out the kitchen and bathroom too. This person also arranged for 6 skips at reasonable prices, and we needed every one of them for the stuff in Kevin's parents' loft alone. He arranged for a company to demolish and take away the old garage because it was asbestos. He arranged for the electrician to rewire the whole house and a plumber to put in a new bathroom and add radiators and plumbing for the kitchen. Through this process, we also met a gardener who took down the enormous conifer and re-roofed the summer house and shed and made some bespoke gates to replace the garage. We were given the name of a cheap double glazing company by the builders to replace the back sliding doors that no longer slid. And in turn, he gave us the name of the man who could fix the kitchen window, which was hanging off its hinges, so that we didn't need to replace it. And then Lovely Family helped strip every room of floral wallpaper, painted ceilings, sheds and summer houses. Unfortunately, my son-in-law is very practical and helped with rendering and plastering after the electrician had cut into every wall. We had to cover a hole in the kitchen ceiling where the wall came down, and I had to learn to fill, sand and paint again and again until the walls were smooth. And do you remember I was telling you about my nightmare experience with IKEA kitchens and having to do that CAD drawing, and the fact that when I'd done it, they still wanted to have an appointment, an initial meeting to check it was okay, which wasn't going to happen until the 29th of July. And then there was no guarantee that the stuff would ever be in stock. So in our church, we have a lovely guy who's a kitchen designer for Howdens. And so I gave him my design and the door type and colour, and he came back to us with a very reasonable price. And now the whole kitchen's arriving on Friday. Hooray! Sorted. You know, also, God is a God of detail. And he knew how much money we had to spend, so he even sorted the little things. You know, like having 4 tiles left over from the bathroom, which would make a great hearth for the fireplace and fitted perfectly in the space left from the old fireplace inside the carpet. Like pieces of thick rustic wood left over from the gate, which would frame the new internal windows so that we can add glass. Like the piece of vinyl which was cut off in the shop just happened to fit, which was a cut off, not, which happened to just fit perfectly. It was the exact size so that we could get it done on Friday when the kitchen arrives. Otherwise, we'd have had to wait for 4 weeks for it to come from the warehouse. And like the tiles for the bathroom that just fitted perfectly, and there were only 3 packs left in the shop because there was a shortage of tiles coming from Spain and Italy because of the lockdown, and nobody had been working in the factories. You know, I've always found this, that if you look to God to provide, that he will be very creative and provide things that are just a perfect fit. And you'll be surprised because he is a God of the detail. We've never had much money in our life, so we have always had to rely on God for his provision and timing. It says in Luke 6:38, "Give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you." It's really important that we always give, especially financially and generously, and without expecting anything in return. But also in other ways, without grumbling, with a joyful heart. Kevin and I have always been hard workers and like to give as much time to projects as possible. But that doesn't stop us grumbling from time to time when we're tired. We're only human. I've found, though, that if we are faithful to God and we're always looking to doing what he asks, he helps us and goes before us and is incredibly generous. We have a generous God who loves us, who loves to give to us. And so we should give more generously ourselves from that place of knowing his nature. It's been great to catch up. Have a lovely week and enjoy the sunshine.